Good afternoon, everyone. Okay pa tayo? It's a, it's a challenge being the last speaker kasi baka wala na kayong energy. But I hope that we can keep this as interactive as possible. So I was asked to present or share, and given the topic, Data Science 101. But I added here artificial intelligence because as Cyrus mentioned kanina, parang you can't speak about data science without talking about artificial intelligence. So that's gonna be our topic for today. And by the way, my beautiful image was generated by AI. Gusto ko lang i-credit yung na this was generated by AI. So, okay. All right. Let me start by sharing with you how I start my day typically. So, I typically wake up at 7 and pagka open ng eyes ko, the first thing that I will say is, "Hey Google, can you turn off my alarm?" So, yan yung unang-una ko usually ginagawa. Then I try to get my mobile phone and check my messages, check my social media as well, then start getting myself ready for work, and then when I drive to work, or I ask my husband to drive me to work, we use Waze to get to the to use the optimum road, diba, to or method to go to the office. And then in the office, that's when I check my emails, go to Zoom meetings, do research via Google search, then come home, and when I got back home, I check the Google Classroom of my son to see if there are any assignments, and I relax by watching Facebook, watching Netflix, or checking my socials again, and then looking at how many steps I made using my Apple Watch or my smartwatch. So that's how my day typically goes. And what do you notice dito sa picture na to? It's very AI driven. You see, and it's really typical no, na we know that AI is really everywhere. And I think us as humans now, we have really embedded the use of AI in our daily lives. I'm not sure if can you relate ba dun sa my day in the life? Yeah. Do you consider yourselves as AI users? Yeah, right. So sabi nga ni Mike Walsh is the author of the Algorithmic Leader. He said that when algorithms become deeply embedded in our daily lives, they have the potential to greatly influence how we behave. So even if you think about it, the choices that you do, so kunwari, you're hungry, you wanna go and get something to eat. Yung choice lang ng anong kakainin, ganyan, because we are really AI driven now, we have a lot of AI influences in our lives. We sometimes think, are my choices are because these are my innate desires or wants, or because we were influenced by AI through social media, for example. Yeah. So this is the reality, no? So kaya I said nga na it's really hard to talk about data science without talking about artificial intelligence, because this is our lives now. We are living in an era where AI is normalized. So for my 1 hour talk, I'll try to lessen it na para para rest na kayo early. But for the next 40 minutes, for example, I'll talk about how do we differentiate data science and machine learning and AI. And I'll also talk about the processes and the tools and skills that you need for you to be able to perform or implement data science and AI and ML projects. And to get an appreciation of how these are used. So okay ba tayo dito sa topics? Okay. Feel free to ask questions. Okay. So first things first, what is AI? How do I differentiate this with ML or machine learning and with data science? So you see here a picture of the artificial intelligence, and inside is machine learning. So AI or artificial intelligence, it's the general field. And the operating words here would be, it's a system that would emulate or mimic human tasks and behavior. So mimicking or parang imbibing human tasks and behavior. Underneath artificial intelligence is machine learning. So ML is part of AI, and it is the ability for computers or machine to learn without being explicitly programmed. So that's the operating word naman here for machine learning. It's a system that would learn without being explicitly programmed. And examples would be these. Sino dito yung who plays online chess? Yeah, my son also loves this. Okay. So, di ba sometimes you play with the bots? So, underneath the bots, di ba, those are AI generated. Online shopping sites that would tell you, you may like this one, or other customers bought this. So, there are some AI underneath that. And yung mentioned ko kanina, di ba, Hey Google and Siri, those are examples of systems that learned without explicitly being taught by humans. So saan naman papasok yung data science? So actually this picture here, I'd like to also give credit to Andrew Nang, who has taught this in Coursera. If you have time, this is a very good course, AI for everyone. So dito, data science is depicted as something in between, inside AI, machine learning, and outside as well. So sa data science naman, it's the science of extracting knowledge and insights from data. How do you differentiate both? Okay, so it said that machine learning, ang difference niya is if the output is deployed or embedded in a system. Si data science, ang output, it's a study and it's presented via, let's say, a slide deck or a paper. So, very simplified na yun yung difference ng ML and data science. Okay. So example of machine learning. So given this data here, again, taken from a Coursera course of Andrew Ng. So what can you see here? This is the data of size of the house by square feet, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, is it newly renovated, and the price of the house. Okay. So given that data, an example of a machine learning problem that would make use of this data is this. For example, you want to estimate or predict prices of house using the different inputs. So for machine learning, ang key is there's an input and there is an output. Here, the inputs would be your parameters like the size of the house, bedroom, number of bathrooms, if it's newly renovated or not. And the output that you want to generate would be the price of the house. Such that when you're able to develop a machine learning model, the machine learning model or algorithm will allow you to predict the output given, for example, new inputs on the parameters. Okay, so that's clear. And, okay, oops. All right. And the final output will be if that algorithm is already developed, you deploy it in a system. So let's say parang in a website where the website will allow you to calculate for the price given that the parameters about the house are given. So yan. So parang a website where you can look for a house, maybe input the parameters of the house that you're looking for, and then it will generate what's the price of that particular house. Pag data science naman, as I mentioned, di ba, output is a study. And normally, the study is through a presentation or a paper. So, and it parang generates the insights from the data given. So, same data that we have right here. What are the potential insights that you can generate from this data? Sige, maybe mga smart kids naman tayo dito. So, any insights? Yeah. So, if it's new or renovated, yan yung parang it predicts something on the, okay, on the price. Yes? Hmm. Higher. Yes. Okay, any other responses? Okay, tama no. So those are some of the insights. So very some of the basic ones. So as for example, just looking at some parameters like the size of the house, as the size of the house becomes bigger, the prices becomes higher. You also notice here, whoops, okay, as mentioned by Sir Jan Blix. Okay, Blix. Okay, so yung ito, if you notice this, ano no, this particular house, the largest house with a maximum bedroom, five bathrooms, newly renovated. So yun din, di ba? A factor is the renovation. It has here the highest price for the house. Okay. Another very interesting observation naman. Look at this too. If you look at the prices here, the price are almost similar, 210, 280. However, tingnan nyo, yung isa, larger size of the house, more bedrooms, more bathrooms, renovated. But this one, the other instance here, it's not as large, lesser bedrooms, lesser bathroom, pero the price is almost the same, no? So, parang that begs the question, no? So, ano kaya yung meron dyan sa house na yan? So, maybe, it could be, may mga missing information like location of the property. Yung pala, kahit maliit yan, nasa BGC pala yan, di ba? Kaya, kaya ang mahal, which we can't find here in the data set, no? Or maybe it's a different developer. Example, like mga baka Ayala or DMCI has large, or is a factor for the price. So yan yung parang example of how we apply data science in such a data set. Okay? So really mining the data, thinking out of the box as well, and analyzing what the data could mean and how can we use this to generate insights about a certain problem or a certain topic. Okay. All right. So ano tayo? Medyo quiz tayo. So now that I shared with you the difference of machine learning and data science, okay, determine natin in these examples. So this example is a marketing example. On the right, on your left hand, you see here parang a website which will tell you a customized product recommendation. So these are the shirts recommended for you. On the right hand side, this one is a system that's asking you, parang if you want to determine which one is a better or a clickable website, is it the one with a red button or the one with a green button? Parang you want to understand which among the between these two web pages, diba? Which one is more effective using A/B testing? So where do you think does machine learning apply? Is it on the left or right? O, sino yung left? Left meaning itong si recommended product for you. Left. Yung right, machine learning So syempre yung iba, no, di ba? Yung iba na ano. Okay. So ang tamang sagot, okay, machine learning yung nasa left. Okay, kasi so the algorithm is deployed in a system and the system is like a recommender system. Okay, versus here na parang we're trying to analyze yung effectivity of a red button versus a green button. Okay, another explanation or another example. Recruitment. On the left-hand side, you want to analyze the recruitment funnel. So this is a parang hiring or HR data, for example. Ilan yung in-email ko, ilan yung natawagan, ilan yung na-interview, and how many were given the offer. So that's on the left side. On the right side, it's a system, it's an automated resume screening wherein I have the CVs of my applicants, I feed it to the system, and based on the characteristics of the system, siya yung magsasabi na, yes, hire this, no, don't hire this person. Okay, so saan ang machine learning dyan? Yung right or left? Sino yung nasa left? Sino ang answer ay left? Sino ang answer yung right? Okay. Yung iba, meron bang hula? Shy lang? Shy lang tayo? Okay, don't be shy. Okay. Okay, so yung kanan yung machine learning. Kasi again, di ba, it's an algorithm deployed in an automated system. All right. So, last, okay, so last, on the left-hand side, crop analytics. So this one is parang analyzing what are the crops that are planted, when would be the best time to plant rice or kamote, ganyan. So yun yung crop analytics. On the right-hand side, precision weed killing. Maybe it's a drone that looks at the images of the crops. And then if it detects um, parang a picture of a weed, then it sprays directly yung pesticide directly to that weed versus yung overall spraying ng pesticides, di ba, that can be harmful for the good crops and also sa health ng mga farmers. So that's the use case here. Oh, so sanang machine learning dito, left or right? Sino ang nagsasabi ng left? Sino nagsasabi ng right? O yan, parang gets na natin. Okay, very good, children. Joke lang. So yan, machine learning. Precision weed killing. Okay, very good. So now, let's talk about machine learning. Kasi actually yung data science, di ba, kanina nandun siya sa, it's in between. Kasi nga, parang whenever you do a study or there's a problem, you want to generate insights, it could be that a means to getting to the answer for that study is through machine learning. Kaya we'll drill down more on the machine learning methodologies, no? Okay, so there are three types of machine learning. Kanina we've seen it. Supervised learning, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. So may I just ask, sino dito yung familiar na dito sa topic na to? So I know kung bibilisan ba natin? Everybody? So not everybody. Sige. So let's take it a bit slower. All right. So supervised learning. So again, three types of machine learning. First is we'll talk about supervised learning. Okay. So if I would explain it in a simple manner, supervised learning is like this picture. So this picture, you see a teacher teaching the child what a cat looks like by drawing it. So nagdo-draw siya ng picture of a cat, and then teacher would tell the girl na, oh, this is how a cat looks like. So that si girl, paglabas niya, and the girl sees a creature na furry, merong whiskers, merong mata, merong ganyang ears, the girl will identify that that is a cat. Okay? So imagine the girl being the machine. So ganun yung sa supervised learning. So it's about, it's an algorithm wherein it looks at labeled data. In this picture, the labeled data would be images or drawings of the cat, such that the algorithm will study the relationship of those inputs so that it can predict or identify a given output. So keywords sa supervised learning would be labeled data. So tinuruan mo siya, ito yung mga examples of how a cat looks like, so that when it finally sees or detects or sees a picture of a cat, kayang sabihin ng system na, oy, cat yan. Oy, hindi cat yan, dog yan. Parang ganyan. Okay? Real life examples of supervised machine learning, supervised learning examples would be yung kanina natin, yung estimation of price of a house. Di ba? Ang input natin would be the different parameters, such as the size of the bedroom. Output would be price of the house. Real life example in the industry that I am in now, sa banking, ito yung isang example. How do we predict the probability of a bad credit card user such that pag mag-apply ka ng card, the algorithm knows whether you'll be a bad payer in the future, hence ma-decline yung card application mo. So it's also driven because we've seen the algorithm was able to see past examples of past applicants na pinautang, binigyan ng card, ganito yung characteristics, naging bad. Okay. So, the last one is prediction nung ano yung food preferences nyo. So, kunwari in a website, di ba? Ano kaya yung pwedeng i-present natin na food images here na bibilin ng ating customer. So, those are examples of supervised learning. And if sa techniques naman, so maybe some of you are familiar with these. So yung mga techniques that we use for supervised learning would be linear regression. So in that estimation of price of a house example, it's an example of a linear regression kasi di ba nakita natin as the higher the size of the bedroom, higher the price. So those continuous inputs are predicting continuous variables. Now, in this example of yung probability of a bad credit card user, ito naman, logistic regression yung technique natin. And it's because, why logistic regression? Because there are only binary target. We're just predicting whether yes or no, bad or good. Ganyan. So probabilistic yung ating outputs dito. And lastly, another technique could be decision trees. Decision trees naman, pag medyo maraming potential outputs, di ba? Like dito, food preferences. So pag non-linear yung relationship ng data natin, typically, we use decision trees for that. Okay, so I won't spend this talk talking about this because sa totoo lang sa stat, isang course, isang ganyan. So, ayan. So, mag-enroll na lang kayo sa stat courses. Okay. So, yan. Unsupervised naman. So, the difference ng supervised is versus unsupervised is that for unsupervised, walang label. Parang relationship lang natin. Walang labels. Yon. So, yung unsupervised, we don't know saan ba yung categories nito, but we know the characteristics of your, let's say, people, yung we're studying people, characteristics of people or subjects na very similar that you can use those characteristics to cluster them and group them. Okay. So, yan yung unsupervised. Lalagyan natin ng label ang mga walang label. Okay. So, sino ang mga Harry Potter fans dito? Yan, okay. So, si Sorting Hat, ano talaga siya? Sa totoong buhay, unsupervised yung may unsupervised ML pala siya, si Sorting Hat. So, tinitingnan niya yung characteristics, di ba, nung mga nagsasalita pa nga siya, di ba, na ito parang magaling to, ganyan-ganyan. So, based sa characteristic nung person, ginugroup niya, o ikaw, si ano ka, Gryffindor ka, ikaw, Slytherin ka, diba? So yan ang tatandaan nyo, si unsupervised ML ang sorting hat. Okay. So, real life examples. Okay, so I worked in a telco and when I was working in telco, I really enjoyed the big data there. So I parang, di ba, pag telco, we know the subscribers usage, browsing behavior. So when you do your mobile browsing, we get information as well on what are the topics that you browse, ganyan. Syempre not encroaching on data privacy, but on a general level. So based on that, we're able to understand the characteristics of the people. Like, sino kaya dyan yung travelers, ganyan, di ba? Nagro-roaming lagi. So, travelers yan. Sino dyan kaya yung mga parents who are working, fashionistas, or retirees? So, we know the characteristics of the people so that whenever we give out promo or mga rewards, you see very personalized promos kasi kita natin kung ano yung characteristics, na-group na natin sila. So that's an example of unsupervised learning. Another is, di ba, sa Netflix, meron yung mga recommendations, di ba? So you might want this movie or topic, ganyan. So a movie recommender system is also an example of unsupervised learning. So the techniques there, so that your typical clustering, K-means or hierarchical clustering, again, di ba? Looking at the different inputs. Ito, in this, tingnan lang natin itong visualization na to, di ba? let's say yung axis natin dito are your characteristics or parameters. And then when you plot them, you see natural groupings ng customers natin. Okay, so dito three yung clusters that were generated. Another example is hierarchical clustering, which is like an iteration of your k-means, multiple iteration until it finds the best, the optimal number of clusters. And of course, the recommender system. So based on, let's say, yung mga kinlik nung, based on the characteristics of the customers who are watching K-drama, alam ko na pag K-drama ka, ito yung mga gusto mong mga shows. Yung recent ko na panood yung kay Park Seo-joon na Gyeong Sung, ko ma-pronounce, Gyeong Sung 2, yung maganda yon. You love parks. Me too. So we cluster together, no? Okay. So yan. So, oops. Lastly, reinforcement learning. Okay. So in this picture, you might be familiar here, yung marshmallow test, di ba? So you give a child marshmallow, sabi mo sa kanya, for 5 minutes, don't touch, don't eat that marshmallow. If you eat it, if you don't touch it, you'll get a bowl of marshmallow. So that's the reward. Pag kinain mo yan, penalty ang palaya, ang ulam mo mamayang gabi, di ba? So reinforcement learning is like that. Parang we teach the machine the right action, the next step, by giving the machine a reward if it does the right action, and it gives a penalty if it does the wrong action. Okay. How do we make this more real? Okay. So here is a video of a self-driving car. So this is si Amazon, meron siyang Deep Racer. So baka medyo baka interesado kayo. They also do hackathons there na tuturuan kayo how to program a self-driving car. Okay. So yun yung ang essence nun is reinforcement learning, wherein there's an agent, which is a car. Yung car na yan, meron niyang camera. Okay. So yung camera captures the state of the car. So yung titingnan niya una, ano yung environment, ano yung track. So kunwari ganito yung shape ng track. So whenever the agent moves forward, it captures the status or the state of that car. So if yung pag-move niya, nasa labas siya ng track, it gets a penalty. Pag nasa loob siya ng track, it gets a reward. So imagine niyo that parang every move niya may reward, penalty, until the machine knows na, ganito dapat umikot dyan sa track na yan. So yung ganyan yung si Deep Racer. So you program the agent para maka-move siya, and the agent that, or the car that gets the lowest time to complete a track, yun yung winner nung Deep Racer Hackathon. Okay. So in real life, yung mga self-driving cars, same rin yung concept na ginamit. Okay, so how do we build machine learning models or data science models? So we have, so ito, for me, this is my experience. So 7 steps, and the first thing really is understanding the problem. This is very important. Kasi once na mali yung intindi natin sa problem, kahit super ganda ng model natin, it's useless. Kasi pagbalik nyo dun sa, let's say, a business owner or yung client nyo, diba? Parang, ay, hindi naman yan yung problema ko eh. So, baliwala rin, diba? So, yan yung first. Understanding the problem, then collecting the data, cleaning the data, exploring patterns, and transforming the data if needed. Diba? So, ito, medyo iterative to. So, pag-explore nyo, you might discover new data that can be transformed, and then explore again, and so on. Then train and test the model, deploy the model, monitor it, and see whether it answers the business problem. Okay? So example, since mobility yata yung magiging topics nyo sa hackathon, sige, I tried to give a mobility problem, but again, I'm not an expert on mobility, but I picked this one. But I guess, di ba, the whole day you were able to get naman use cases or ideas on what you can work on as a use case. But this one, I picked this one. Problem is predicting the demand for ride-hailing cars to optimize service for commuters. So si kanina, di ba sabi ni Cyrus yung about having a hard time getting a Grab. Ito, very fresh kasi kagabi, Friday, and months na, super hirap kumuha ng Grab. I was trying to get a Grab from, so Makati ako yesterday from RCBC Plaza, which is in Hilpuyat. Papunta lang ng Fairmont because I have a dinner there. 1.5 kilometers lang. Hirap kumuha ng Grab. Naglakad ako. Pero with my heels and mga ka-turtleneck, ganyan, ang hirap. So, totoo, ang hirap mag-walk sa Makati. Parang aakyat ka ng di ba? Merong mga flyover, ganun. Ayan. So, kaya very close to my heart tong example na to. Anyway, so problem, for example, predicting the demand for ride-hailing cars to optimize service for commuters. Bakit? So, if we tackle this problem, una, di ba, parang it's really making a more delightful experience for the commuters or the riders, di ba? Lesser waiting time for them. And also, for the ano then, for uh, the drivers din, di ba? Mas marami siyang mabubook o alam niya kung ito medyo hindi masyadong maraming tao dito sa time na to and sa location na to, then hindi na ako tatambay dito. Pupunta na ako dun sa kung saan may demand. So, yan yung isang benefit if we tackle this kind of a problem. So, data collection, what could be the data that can be used? So, syempre, historical trip data. Okay, so mga past Grab trips, for example, location data, time of day, weather conditions, or events. Yung kanina yung sinasabi ni Cyrus, di ba, napansin niya pag Valentine's, ganyan, Christmas, mas mahirap. Okay, so malalaman natin if we analyze it or if we collect the data and analyze it. So yeah, any other thoughts on possible data that you might want to collect to answer this problem? Sige, okay lang. Wala namang right or wrong answers. Anne, Cyrus. Yeah, oo, tama. So feedback from the riders and the commuters, the riders and the drivers as well, diba? So those are unstructured data, diba? Na very would can be helpful to really augment the analysis. Okay. So yeah, data collection. And then after that, once you have the data, you explore, are there patterns in your data? And this is typically done, data transformation, or sometimes we call it data wrangling or feature engineering. So parang kunwari, meron bang data na you derive from the existing data? Example, kunwari, baka tingnan natin yung riders ratio. So in a location, how many ba yung typical commuters or riders over the population nung area na yon? Baka naman may correlation siya doon sa demand, 'di ba? Or trip classification. So doon sa trip data that we have, ano ba yan? Ilan ba dyan yung na-accept? Ilan ba dyan yung na-cancel? Ganon, 'di ba? So baka meron ding impact yan doon sa study that we're doing. So yun yung example, no, na parang you think out of the box, what are the other features that you can generate from the data that you have? Kasi malay nyo, yan pala yung mga best predictors dun sa study. And then next is you train and test the model. So you choose na, ano bang tama na methodology or techniques that you can use. So this one, it's a cheat sheet. You can search it up. Ang ganda nito kasi parang it tells you na pag ganito yung problem, unsupervised, ito yung mga tawag dito, techniques that you can make use of. Yan. So in this example, ano palagay nyo yung, what is this kind of a problem? Yung predicting the demand. Supervised, unsupervised, Reinforcement learning, supervised. Yes, supervised, no? Looks like supervised. Okay. So once we have a model, that's when we deploy it. So how do we deploy this? It could be, let's say, kung meron na tayong algorithm that predicts the demand for riders on certain locations. So this can be something that can be deployed in the app so that the drivers can see, okay, ito yung demand ko for the next hour sa ganitong location, then I can go dun sa location na yun, for example, no? Pwede rin yan sa ano, pwede rin na nasa app nung rider. Pag nakita niya, uy, ang dami palang demand pag ganitong oras, mamaya na ako magbubuk. Parang ganon, no? So yun yung mga iba-ibang benefits or parang uses of that algorithm. All right? Questions? Okay. Malinaw tayo? All right. So, ay, sorry. Nag-fast forward. Okay, so now we know what are the different machine learning models and what's a typical life cycle in developing and deploying machine learning algorithms. How do we apply that in mobility? Okay, same as Cyrus, tinawag ko rin si ChatGPT para tanungin, ano ba ang mga applications? O, di ba? Kasi hindi naman ako expert. O, malay ko ba kung ano ba, saan ba ginagamit, di ba? Pero, and it's funny kasi, di ba, si Cyrus also said that he tried to look at ChatGPT and almost the same results, no? So, ano yung example? So, aside from the ride-hailing prediction, you can also do predictive traffic congestion. So, saan yung areas na traffic and congested? Ito medyo tinweak ko na ng konti, pero di ba we have yung mga P2P buses? So maybe you might want to optimize yung current ba na routes ng P2B to P2P, are these the optimized routes? Baka meron pang better way or better routes to accommodate more passengers. Road safety risk classification. Maybe if you have satellite photos, ito ano na lang, no? Satellite photos of the roads, ganyan, parang you can predict which roads are safe, which roads are hazardous. So parang you can help the LGUs there to pinpoint, ito yung area na kailangan you focus budget on so that you can build safer roads here for the motorists and for the pedestrians. Okay? Ito din, close to my heart, parking space demand allocation. Lalo na sa mga CBD, ang hirap maghanap ng parking. But if we have data on that, di ba parang ang ganda na when meron kang app, pagdating mo sa isang area, kiklik mo lang, ano yung isang areas yung meron pang parking available. Wow, di ba? Parang makakatulong talaga yan sa atin. And also here, another simple use case. Mobility insight monetization. Hindi na yan sinabi ni ChatGPT, pero just imagine if you're able to gather data about human mobility or urban mobility, and you're able to generate some insights, di ba baka parang you can sell those insights to let's say Grab or to the LGU. Parang ginagawa ng business nila Cyrus, no? Parang the data that they're able to collect, they monetize it by working with LGUs on how they can make use of that data to improve the infrastructure. So yan. Okay, so those are just examples and I hope you're able to relate to those. Okay. And so dito, when you tackle those machine learning and data science applications, you know naman that there are different skill sets that are needed. And yun nga it's very hard for a data scientist now kasi a lot of skills are expected from us, di ba? Dapat magaling ka sa math and stat. Dapat nagko-code ka pa, di ba? Kaya mong mag-data prep, kaya mong mag-storytell or mag-visualize ng data, di ba? Kaya mo i-relate yung what you see from the data to how the problem can be solved. Kailangan may domain knowledge ka, kailangan may soft skills ka, meaning you can communicate it well, you can present well, good working ethics, diba? So very well-rounded yung data, yung expectations sa data scientists. So I am proud that you are venturing that this kind of a career, no? Kasi ano talaga siya? It's a very, very good career. And having said that, to guide you, may intro ako para sa, since I'm here to represent the Analytics and AI Association of the Philippines, I'd like to introduce to you the skills framework. So this is in partnership with DICT. So the AAP worked with DICT as well as validated this with industry experts. One of those would be our data scientists from RCBC, from GCash, from other industries as well. And they're able to come up with a Philippine analytics and AI skills framework. Ano ba tong framework na to? So for the first time, there's a picture of what would be the career path for data scientists like you. So example, gusto nyo ba nasa area ng kunwari, data science, careers would be a chief analytics officer or a chief data scientist, senior data scientist, or machine learning engineer or associate data engineer. So, ano siya, parang it's a path. So, maybe after you graduate, first career path is associate data analyst, and then you can do maybe become a machine learning engineer or maybe become a data engineer or business intelligence analyst. So, it helps you charter your path in this analytics and AI world, no? So, ang maganda dito, so if you choose a path, okay, so yan, yung path na yan will help you identify parang kung saan skills ka nga or kung saan career ka pupunta. And for each, if you click one, so kunwari, kinlik natin data scientist, yan. Ano ba ang data scientist? What's the job description of a data scientist? What are the tasks? Kung data scientist ka ng RCBC, ano ang tasks mo? Ganyan. Ano yung mga skills and competencies that you need to build? And what's the level of competency that is expected from you? And for example, you click one of this, yung skill, you'll also be guided. Oops. Hmm. Ayan. You'll be guided by what are the parang descriptions of those skills. So this competency map, you can see here, these are the skill sets and competencies that it encompass. So marami siya. It could be from design and architecture, development, even people development, and so on. So it has both the functional skills as also the enabling or the soft skills. So I encourage you to maybe you might want to take a picture of that QR code. So to check out the skills framework para you'll also be guided on what are the skill sets that you might want to build on when you get to really be serious in pursuing the data science path. Okay. So I'll end my talk there and I hope that this was a very um, useful or productive session for you and good luck to your hackathon. Okay, so maraming salamat and thanks for inviting us. In behalf of AAP and Nathan here with me, maraming salamat po.
Thank you po, ma'am. Let's entertain questions po if the participants or the officers have any. Let's start with Alta.
Hello po. I have a question. So I've already seen the AAP framework. My question is, where does data strategies go into that? Because I've been looking into data strategist roles, and at the moment, parang it's usually senior levels. So I have yet to see that on an associate level, because that's where I am right now, and I have no reference for other associate levels of data strategists.
Yeah. Can I get your background? So you're studying now?
No, I'm working now.
Working now?
Yes, as a strategist.
How many years
Nakastart
of
ko rin.
experience? Oh,
But in terms of like the data science skills, mga 2 years or more na.
okay. That's a very good question, no? You mentioned that you don't see data strategists as in the associate level.
Yes.
It's because the skills that you need to be a data strategist is really parang more on a senior level na. Kasi you're talking about, parang for you to be a strategist, you should have also an experience on how were you able to implement data systems, what were the applications of the data that you've done using machine learning. Kasi parang pag strategy, kasi yung experience talaga yung medyo required eh. Pero it doesn't mean na because you're an associate, you can't do data strategy. But maybe baka ito personal ano ko na lang to view, pero as a strategist maybe parang you may start as like this one, a data associate data engineer. Parang you need to understand first the structure of the data. What are the types of data that are needed for machine learning modeling? Yun.
Thank you po. Yeah, that
Okay.
helps.
Good
That
luck.
gives me a good step.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello po, ma'am. Yung question ko po is more on, sa idea na, kasi maraming models, di ba? Like, different machine learning models. Tapos, nauuso na rin yung neural nets on deep learning. Paano po kami makaka-decide as a newbie kung which one to use? Whether to use your typical or your classical machine learning models or pupunta na ba kami dun sa mga big guns like neural nets? Ano po yung insights niyo doon?
So ang lucky nyo kasi nasa era na tayo wherein we have a lot of tools that will allow you to do both. Parang for me, in real life like kunwari sa what we do, parang yung tools namin allow us to explore all classical, deep learning models kasi accessible na siya eh. Parang it's very easy na to make use of those models. So yung siguro for you to decide na lang which ones kasi yung ease of use or parang accessibility of tools nandun na eh. It's the barrier has been broken. Parang you can do all of those things. But siguro yung decision factor would be una explainability. Kung yung problem that you're trying to solve needs explainability, then definitely the deep learning models might be difficult, right? So kunwari, yung example ko kanina, yung deciding whether yung card applicant natin magiging bad user or, di ba? So credit scoring. At the end of the day, you need to be able to explain to the kunwari, just in case lang yung customer magreklamo, bakit ako hindi na ano dyan, ganyan, ganyan, ganyan. Parang, and even to the regulators, BSP, you need to explain why is the model acting like this? Why is it rejecting this? So kung yung explainability, then parang doon tayo sometimes dun sa mga classical models kasi we need to do that. But kunwari, precision is the objective. Kunwari, clinical, life and death. Di ba? Pag namali ka ng prediction, posibleng may mamatay, ganyan. And sometimes deep learning models kasi can be very precise. Kasi di ba, hindi mo na alam paano siya nakapag-predict kasi it just looks at the different relationship patterns inside, no? So if a deep learning model can give that precision, higher precision, better than the classical, then you go for the deep learning. So siguro the short answer to that, it depends on the use case. And sometimes rin kasi sa business, parang hindi mo ito na totoo parang I don't want to give a delusionment. Pero sometimes kasi a simple model can answer a business problem and you don't need to talagang super spend so much time ganyan on the best algorithms kasi sometimes if you go for the easier model, better to explain to the business and it answers the question, then yun yung mas di ba? It doesn't waste your time looking for yung mga sophisticated models.
Sige po, ma'am.
Okay. Sige. Nance. Sige, to add. Ay, kailangan ng mic. Ay, sige. Sure na, kaya muna.
Okay,
Sige, kasi nasa kanila.
so you mentioned earlier na for explainability, you use white box models. Pero
mga ways na
I
rin.
recently used
Sharp.
black box models for explainability using SHAP.
Mhm.
And actually may bagong paper for that for a black box model that offers explainability then, which is called Kolmogorov-Arnold networks or CADs. What's your take on those methods po?
Again, as I mentioned, you're very lucky kasi 'di ba ngayon may mga bagong techniques to like that, yung mga shop to give explainability on black box model. So yun lang, parang for me nga, it really depends on the business use case. Kasi yun, if the problem can be answered with simple models, then go for it kasi it doesn't waste your time. But if parang for high stakes na business cases, then go for the more sophisticated ones. And continue to study nga kasi nga ang dami pa ring lumalabas na mga new techniques ngayon eh. 'Di ba? Kaya exciting nga yung ating career path kasi maraming lumalabas na yan dati nobody's touching the deep learning models kasi nga walang makapag-explain, 'di ba? Pero now yan may mga shop, Kolmogorov.
Hello. Okay. Hi, I'm Anne po, and I'm more curious about the self-driving cars earlier and how you train these models specifically. Doon sa, ano yun? Yeah, reinforcement learning. How do machines perceive rewards and punishments?
Parang you assign weights to that. So pag pag pinrogram siya, parang meron kang i-assign na kunwari positive weight to that and or negative penalty. So may very specific na algorithms that assigns for rewards and penalty.
Do they perceive this adding or subtracting as negative and positive na? Okay, this is wrong, this is right. Parang ganun. Okay. Thank you po. That's my question.
Just to add lang pala doon sa answer niyo kanina regarding doon sa okay, we have this algorithm, this and that na deep learning networks. I think it's a good advice din to consider first is anong type ng data yung hawak mo. Like, is it image ba or tabular data?
Yeah.
So, pag tabular data, mas simple yun. So, doon pamasok yung sinabi ni ma'am na simpler algorithm. So, specifically, yung mga classical machine learning algorithms like linear regression, logistics, even gradient boosted decision trees, mga ganun. Tapos pag yung images kasi, yun yung medyo mas complex. So, doon napapasok mo si neural networks.
Yeah.
Then, it's also good din to check yung related literature. Dito yung papasok na yung medyo academic perspective na approach. Like, check mo kung una, if yung gusto mong isolve na problem, meron na bang nag-solve nito gamit yung algorithm na naisip mo na gamitin. If meron na, pili ka na lang ng mas malapit na algorithm na medyo same. Then, try to modify some of the pipeline. Like may dadagdag ka mang pre-processing, ganun. Or then try to check the more yung metrics, like yung evaluation mo kung maganda ba yung pagkakatayo ng model mo or others. Pero I do agree with ma'am na try to find the simplest algorithm possible sa pag-solve ng problem kasi time and resources are limited talaga. Yun lang po.
Thank you. Yes, very valuable inputs.
Ayun. So, seems like we're having a good discussion here.
sige.
So, another question.
May time pa naman.
Hello po, ma'am. Kasi ma'am, of course, in the data science field, we're not just handling numerical data, we're also handling data in words and sometimes unstructured data, di ba? Kasi recently, I write a paper about utilizing Orange to evaluate different types of machine learning algorithm and how are they, parang kung paano sila magre-react on skewed data. Ganon. So, as a data scientist po, ma'am, so ano po yung mga tips na mamibigay niyo po sa amin when we are handling like unstructured data? And last time we used algorithm for word clouds. Kumbaga, sentiment siya. It is very unstructured, di ba? Parang iba-iba yung sentiments ng mga people regarding a certain topic. So, how, just a little tip lang po on how can we can we do better in handling those data po?
Unstructured.
Yes.
So I guess parang yun nga ngayon kasi may mga ways na how to really deal with unstructured data, no? Tapos ano pa, si generative AI pa is something that you can also make use of, 'di ba? Na parang you just throw, before kasi parang you have to, kahit unstructured siya, medyo kailangan i-clean pa rin siya, 'di ba? In a way na parang medyo ika-categorize mo pa siya, ganyan, parang i-topic modeling mo muna, ganyan, before you input it to whatever algo. Pero kasi ngayon dahil nga, especially with the Gen AI, 'di ba? Talagang even any unstructured, you can just put it in there. But of course, you need to make sure that parang verify still, 'di ba, the results of that. So ano bang ano bang question? How to so how do I concretize it? So, siguro maybe let's talk about what's the business use case. What's the use case that you are trying to do? Social media sentiments, ganyan.
Like for example po ma'am, in healthcare, yung mga ganun po nila kasi 'di ba we have different tweets about healthcare, different feedbacks about healthcare na minsan you can scrape those data in the web kahit wala naman sila, 'di ba, we can scrape available data in the web. Ayun po, so 'di ba pag in-scrape mo yung data, it's unstructured talaga as in. So sometimes kasi we are dealing with precision and accuracy ng mga models natin. So sometimes yung model na to, it's nagbibigay siya ng high precision pero yung ibang model hindi high yung precision niya compared to this one. So parang ayun lang po ma'am, yung parang ano lang po, tips on kung paano mas magiging better when handling data, unstructured data, skewed data, and yung mga data na parang ano, po.
Ang hirap ng tanong eh. Kasi parang it really
Tips lang po.
depends eh. So, siguro yung first is medyo basic, no? Make sure that una, yung data that you're getting is reliable data. Diba? So that's one. And then second, once you get it, check muna if you're getting it completely. Parang, are you getting it in its full context? And then yung algorithms kasi, yun nga, parang yung mga algos ngayon, ang dali na niyang i-apply to those unstructured data. Like may mga specific techniques ka na you can generate. Yung in terms of yung first precision or recall, usually kasi, well, ako sa experience ko, parang usually hindi yun yung metrics na ginagamit namin pag nagsa-study nung unstructured. Kasi usually parang we just use it for, ito yung sa real business case, mga topic modeling. What are the topics that are being discussed? What are the sentiments of the customers? Pag yun kasi hindi naman siya precision recall yung metric mo, di ba? It's really more understanding like, kasi dahil supervised siya, di ba? So wala kang parang label data na tama ba yung sinabi niya o hindi sinabi niya. So it's just describing what the conversation is all about. Parang ganun. So yun yung typical use case for the unstructured. So maybe if you want to make it more complicated, parang pwede mo siyang gamitin as input for another supervised model, as an example. So yun yung baka mas sophisticated way to make use of unstructured. So kunwari, sentiments of the customer, positive, negative, ganyan, di ba? So parang you might want to make use of that to predict, let's say, is my customer going to buy another product from me? Diba? So, yun, naging supervised ka na, pero ang input mo are coming from unsupervised data from an unstructured data. Okay.
Still have questions po. Yan.
May question pala ma'am, sakto na mention yung sa may topic modeling. Ay, di ba sa may topic modeling kasi like mag-perform kayo mag-select kayo kung ilang topics yung ma-perform, then may parang word cloud for each for each topic. Ano ba yung meron bang mas magandang way besides sa eyeballing? Yung titignan lang kung ano yung word cloud na to. Like, para kung ano yung nire-represent niya, may bang way to automate that or kailangan lang talaga na i-eyeball talaga?
Tingnan mo lang eh, di ba? Kasi descriptive siya eh, kung ano yung mas daming mentions, ganon, di ba?
So,
Mm.
kumbaga wala talagang way to ano no, automate sa ngayon.
Unless na gawan mo ng ano, in-analyze mo yung output of, parang kayo lang thinking out of the blue, parang if you analyze yung inputs na yun,
Ah,
kasi parang I mean, imagine ko at the back end meron yang parang how many mentions
Yeah.
for this word. Okay, so yung output na yon na how many mentions, baka it can be an input to a model, or you can maybe do like an A/B testing, or parang at ano nga ba yon, parang you test the significance of those maraming words na yun versus the other words.
okay.
You can over-analyze it, pero I think for me, yung benefit of that might not be as valuable as what the initial output of a word cloud would say.
So, in the end talaga, more on manual inspection talaga.
Oo.
Okay. Siwa, thank you po.
Pero malay mo, may ma-invento na in a few, na other use of a word cloud. Oo. Hindi kasi naman din pang topic modeling si ChatGPT. Yeah.
Now let's recognize the presence of those in the online platform. Do they have questions?
Hi, online viewers.
Are there any questions? Okay, ma'am. So here in the site, any more questions going once? Okay. From Optimal Prime again, this is Blake.
Okay, so we're on the topic on the career as well. So in reality, in the real world scenario, ma'am, like you mentioned about day in a life. So in your profession, say how much would you say in the pipeline, training a model or whatsoever, what takes time specifically for in your side, ma'am?
It's really the data preparation and the exploration and wrangling. Yeah, because it's always kasi parang it's hard to get the right data, complete data, and clean data. So yan yung medyo ano talaga, challenge in the real world. Parang maybe like 80% of your time you'll do it for just for the data prep, and then 20% for the rest of the stuff, no? Yan. So that's one. The second one is the deployment. Kasi ito, in real world, parang even if you're able to create a very good model, if wala namang way to deploy it, so kunwari, meron bang system na tatanggap ng model mo, how will you, yun, yung kunwari, yung same example, yung credit card natin na scorecard. Imagine, di ba, pag merong nag-apply na person, kailangan makapture mo yung application form, application information ng customer na yon o ng applicant na yon. Then, yung captured data na yon, ipapasok mo sa isang system where the model will run to execute a score or give a score. So, yung deployment methodology dito, parang it has to be in place. So, paano yun? So, dapat may system, di ba, na nagra-run ng model every time an applicant submits their application. So yun yung baka you need to come up or build an interface for that. You might need to integrate with the bank systems para to get that. So yun yung isa sa mga challenges. So yung kung na-imagine nyo, parang it's the start wherein parang you need to get the right data, and yung ending, how do you execute and deploy that model?
For final, do we still have questions before we give the certificates to our esteemed speaker?
Baka di kayo makatulog.
Okay. So we have Style here.
Hello, ma'am. So I currently work as a strategy and transformation officer in a multinational bank. So my question would be with regards to the previous example, which is credit risk profiling. So how would we ensure that there are no discriminatory practices, or are there any other ethical considerations that we should consider, or in this particular example in urban mobility?
So the biases, no, sa data. So kami, when we do our credit risk model, so the first thing is again the data preparation and then exploring the data. So parang we make sure that the data that we input are not the PIIs or the parang discriminatory variables like gender, syempre hindi natin nilalagay, or age. And so doon din pumapasok yung feature engineering, because even if, for example, we can't put, let's say, exacto the age, meron bang parang proxy for that? Parang ganon. So that's how we do it. And again, very apt yung question, because right now, di ba, a lot of people are asking about how do we ensure that there's no bias, that the AI is trustworthy, ganon. So there are tools right now that are available to test those things, like may bias test, robustness test. So if you've heard about one example is AI Verify. So AI Verify is an open source toolkit developed by the Singapore government. So there's a group there, the IMDA. So they developed that toolkit that wherein you can put in your model, and then it will help assess if madedetect niya if may bias doon sa models nyo. So that AI Verify tool, it's made available through AAP, through the Analytics and AI Association, because parang si AI Verify partnered with AAP to be the parang the chapter for AI Verify. So if you want to learn more about that soon, maybe become a member of AAP, or maybe search it up, AI Verify. There are also other open source tools, like see Microsoft is also see Azure AI nila. There's a responsible AI toolkit also that they have na yun, that tests for bias and other verification for models.
Thank you so much for our participants and the officers who had questions, and thank you, Ma'am Pam, for entertaining each one of them. Now to award the certificate, join us in the stage, Lance, Jess, and Mia. And this is the certificate of appreciation. This certificate is gratefully presented to Pamela Cabudoy in sincere appreciation of your time, expertise, and invaluable insights on Data Science 101 shared during the 2024 Philippine Junior Data Science Challenge. Your contribution under the theme Driving Innovation, Harnessing Data Science for Sustainable Urban Mobility has significantly enriched the knowledge and understanding of participants, helping them navigate the complex challenges of sustainable urban development through data science. Given this 5th day of October 2024 at the Department of Information and Communications Technology, Audiovisual Room, Diliman, Quezon City. Warm of applause, everyone. Ito.